in Nigeria we have what we call student week, where you'll be doing old school day, you'll be doing this. Yeah, they have what they call student week too, but their own is homecoming. When they did homecoming, people of God, I did not even know what was homecoming. I'm like, who is coming home? Or when they said homecoming, I'm like, who is coming? Who is the person coming home? Homecoming, who is coming and who is going? Did somebody go somewhere before and the person is now coming? I don't understand. Please, before you laugh at me, just shut up your mouth, because when you come here to, you ask yourself that question. As Nigerians, our our eyes, anything financial aid or support, it will just move us. So the thing just moved me. I was on my own, but as I just saw financial aid, I just walked right into the office. I'm like, financial aid, yes, do you have financial aid for me? They're like, no, that they only offer financial aid to citizens. So you also need to put that into consideration when you are choosing a school. Do they have plans to actually give financial aid to non-citizens? So if that is something that is very important to you, then you want to consider that as a factor before settling for a school. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl valeenovarah again, and if you're seeing me for the first time, you know how we do it. Please ensure that you subscribe to my channel. Do not make this your last time here. I would appreciate it if you can become a part of this family, okay? And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so very much. Please continue to do what you're doing. Keep supporting your girl, and I cannot wait to share more good news with you guys. And then to the special category of people we have on this channel, by that I mean the people who would watch my content without subscribing. Please, I appreciate you watching my content, but ensure to subscribe, because that would encourage me even more to keep pushing out content out there. So yes, let's move on. My name is valeenovarah, and I'm a cybersecurity graduate from the University of Alabama at Birmingham, UAB. I graduated in December 2020, and I pretty much share my experiences here as an international student in the United States. So if you're interested, please ensure that you become a part of this family. And the links to my Telegram community for aspiring and current international students are in the description, and the link to my mailing list is also in my description. If you want to get or receive never heard before stories about my life, or even resources or discounts or freebies here and there that do not make it here to YouTube, please ensure that you join my mailing list and also join my Telegram group. And if you have any concerns as to study abroad or anything and you want to book a consultation, the link as well is in my description down below. So guys, I just wanted to say a big thank you to you guys for supporting the last video that I uploaded. In that video, I talked about the pre-application phase. So if you're not aware, this is a series that I'll be using to address your concerns about how you can achieve your study abroad journey. So that video was focused on the documents you need, how much it will cost you to get those documents, the deadlines, and the duration. If you've not seen that video and this is the first video you're watching in the series, please ensure that you watch that video. I'll leave the link somewhere here so you can watch the video, or you can also check the link in my description down below. I know that in the first video I said my next video was going to be about how to find a school in the US, or how to find the right school in any country that you're interested in. But I just thought about it, before you begin that process of looking for the right school, it is important that you know the factors to consider before you decide to settle for a school. So today's video is going to be focused on the factors to consider before you decide to choose a particular school for your study abroad journey. So in this video, you learn 20 factors to consider, and I'll go ahead and explain all those factors one by one. And if you're interested, if this is something that you want to learn more about or know, or anything in between, please feel free to watch the video in full. And don't forget to leave your comments or your questions down below, because I read all my comments, I reply to them, and I love them, so ensure that you do that, and I'll reach out to you in the comments, or you can send me an email if you have any personal questions as well. So the first thing that you have to consider is, this one is very important, because now that I've graduated, when I think about it, I'm like, maybe I should have actually considered that before making any decision. Now is job prospects. What is the job prospect? What does it look like in that school? So let's say for me, I schooled at UAB. UAB is in the southern part of the US. And so, my major was in cybersecurity. Of course, most tech companies are not in the south, so they are mostly in the north. So if that is something that you have to take into consideration before choosing a school, because if you want to graduate and get a job, and maybe you're like, I will graduate and work right here in the same city where I schooled, then that should be a key thing, and it should be a key thing for everybody, because I mean, the essence is to go study and once you graduate, get a job. And you guys, if you've been following my other videos where I've been talking about my challenges here as an international student, or how I applied to over 600 jobs and I didn't get a job, you already know that the streets are not smiling. So you want to ensure that you're looking, considering a school that the job prospects are, above average before you settle for that school. So the next thing that you have to consider is the weather condition of that school or of that city. Now, I know I'm going to be talking about a school, but I mean, we're going to be focused on the city where the school is also located. And if you're coming from an African country or even Nigeria, you guys already know that one thing that I keep saying on this channel is that I am not friends with cold. Me and cold were not friends at all. Even during the summer, that I prefer let the sun kill me than to come here and be dying of cold. So please, it should be, if cold is something that you are not okay with, then ensure that you're looking at the weather condition of the city where the school is located before you settle for that school. For instance, schools in the north are very, very cold. Like cities in the northern part of the US is way more colder than the southern part. So if you're interested in schooling in somewhere that is a bit fair, the weather is neither here nor there, then states like Texas should be your first point of call. Florida, like Maryland, where else? Just Google or research for the states in the US that are warm, pretty okay, close to like the Nigerian weather. Then when you find those states, then tailor your search to serve your need, because that's your need at that point in time. So if weather is something that you are very interested in, then also consider the weather condition of the city where the school is located. The third thing, guys, this is very important, because if I didn't it was supposed to be the first thing I mentioned, but now when I think about getting a job, I know that even though you get scholarship, the scholarship will only last you while you're in school, but when you graduate, what happens? So that's why I choose to talk about job prospects before mentioning funding and scholarship. Guys, you want to settle for a school that has options for funding or scholarship, any form of grant, any form of financial aid. For UAB, when I think I went to the financial aid office one time, I think it was close to like the accounting department, so I needed to make my payment one time or show them the receipt that my sponsor had paid for my tuition. So I walked there, I'm like, okay, I've been seeing this financial aid. When you see financial aid, you just, as Nigerians, our eyes, anything financial aid or support, it will just move us. So the thing just moved me. I was on my own, but as I just saw financial aid, I just walked right into the office. I'm like, financial aid, yes, do you have financial aid for me? They're like, no, that they only offer financial aid to citizens. So you also need to put that into consideration when you are choosing a school. Do they have plans to actually give financial aid to non-citizens? So if that is something that is very important to you, then you want to consider that as a factor before settling for a school. Do they give scholarship? Do they give funding? There are schools that you apply to and then they give you automatic assistantship position, which would, cover your tuition or even cover half of the tuition. So you need to have that as a critical factor before settling for any school. Now, the next thing that you have to put into consideration is the cost of living. While it is good for you to stay in the north because maybe they have more job prospects in terms of tech opportunities, the cost of living there is pretty high. It is expensive. So if you're somebody trying to that maybe you're sponsoring yourself, you cannot really foot the bill or the lifestyle of somebody who's living in New York or living in Washington or living in California, then you need to tailor your search or your school to a school that is that has a low cost of living, because you're in a city that the cost of living is very low. So that's what it's like. So if it's just neither here nor there. At some point you need to compromise, because you cannot have a perfect school, but you need to find that balance and go for it. So the next thing that you need to put into consideration is the COA. By that I mean the cost of attendance. What is it like? Yesterday I received a message from someone on Instagram telling me that Valin, she's also a part of my Telegram community. So if you're not a part of that Telegram community, please use this opportunity to check my description down below. There's a link right there. Once you click on that link, it will take you to my Telegram community where you can connect with me one-on-one and can connect with other aspiring and current international students as well. So she's been following me on my Instagram, and in case you're not following me on Instagram, what are you waiting for? So follow me on Instagram so you can see behind the scenes of my life outside YouTube. So she was like, Valin, how can I is UAB expensive? Because somebody is trying to convince me to go to UK, but I don't want to go to UK. Is UAB expensive? Apart from the tuition, what else? What other expenses do you need? She was just worried, and then she was like, the person was like, my son went to Harvard and he spent 100K for the whole master's program. My response to her was like, Harvard is not UAB. Of course, Harvard is not UAB. If you're going to Harvard, it's going to be very expensive. So the cost of attendance for somebody studying at Harvard would be, times whatever compared to somebody that's studying at UAB, whether it is the same program or not. So you need to put into consideration, what is the cost? What is the cost of tuition? What is the cost of even, taking care of yourself as an international? Would you have enough to save at the end of the day? So find that out, because it is very, very important as well. So the next thing that you need to put into consideration is security. I made a video where I talked about the 10 reasons why I chose UAB. So if you've not seen that video, please go and see that video. I'll add the link somewhere here. In that video, I talked about security. UAB is so secure. Guys, they are not sponsoring me. Hopefully they'll sponsor me soon. But I mean, from my experience, it's very secure. I also mentioned how I had like a very terrible roommate experience that made me feel so unsafe. I didn't know what to do, but again, just because they are so concerned about the international students there, they have, so many things in place that would protect you or even show that they care. Whether you are living off campus, for me, I was living off campus, but they were still there. They even had a police department that was just right there between my apartment and then the school. So they ensure that they have a bus that will take you, if you want to go to school 2 a.m. UAB has a bus that will come to your apartment to pick you and take you to school. If you want to come back to your apartment 12 a.m., UAB has a bus that will take you down to your apartment from the school, just so that you're protected. So you don't even need to drive your car. This time somebody is driving you. So do they have plans for security in that school? So that is something that you have to consider, because again, we know that racism is a thing and it's not entirely gone. And as an international student, that's something that calls for worry. So you want to be sure that these people have something in place to protect you, because your family is not here to do that. So the next thing that you have to put into consideration is the availability of your course of interest. Now, I wanted to study cybersecurity. I was looking for a school. Cybersecurity is like hot cake. Everybody wants to study cybersecurity. Organizations need cybersecurity experts and professionals, but not every school offers cybersecurity. So if that is something that I am interested in, then I am going to have that as a factor to consider. I'm not just going to settle for any school. I'm going to settle for a school that has my course, the major that I want to study. So the 8th thing that I have to consider is the course structure and content. I think I should also make a different video about this, because there were things that I did differently or wrongly when I came here. But you need to, when you go to a school or when you settle for a school, before you settle for a school, look at the course content, the course structure. How is this structured? Some schools, we have the advanced courses early enough. So when you come to the school, the first course you're taking something very advanced, and it's already very challenging for you as an international student, because your educational system is totally different from the one that you have here. So you don't want to come and start on a note that is so bad, because you will fail, and if you fail, it's going to affect your CGPA, and that CGPA, there's a level of CGPA that you must maintain as an international student. So if you don't maintain it, they will send you back to your home country. So you want to ensure that the course structure is built in such a way that you are progressing from one phase to the other, not the other way around. Okay, so I need to also mention something. Most universities, they offer this rolling admission scheme or model, which means that or if you apply during the spring, you can get admission during the spring, you can get admission during the summer, you can get admission during the fall, right? But the danger of that is that when you start during the spring, which is what I did, is that you will be starting from a course that is advanced, because they've taken the less advanced course during this fall semester. So that is the danger of that. So you need to ensure, which is also something you need to look out for. If you're somebody who's interested in starting your program during the spring, then have that at the back of your mind, that you might be introduced to advanced courses before, at the early stage of your program. So I've already mentioned that. So the next thing that you have to consider is the diversity. What is the ratio of international students to non-international students? What is the ratio of international students to home students? What is the ratio of international students to the citizens? You want to know that they have some level of diversity in the school, because how would you survive? How? You just don't want to feel alone. Even when they have higher ratio of international students, you will still struggle. Now compare that to when they have a higher proportion of citizens. How would you even cope? So you need to know that even if this school has more citizens, can I find a community of people like me in the school? And if they do, then you settle for that school. But if they don't, then you don't settle for the school. But if that is not like a big thing for you, then that is not, you don't have to consider that. But for me, diversity was key. Like even the video I talked about, UAB and stuff, we have over 100 countries represented at UAB. That was massive. Like that is a massive, deciding factor for me. And yes, I enjoyed every bit of it. So the next thing, the 11th thing that you have to consider is the university environment. People of God. You don't want to leave Delta State University, Abraka, to come to the United States of America and be schooling in a bush. What did I say? There should be some level of difference between where you're coming from and where you're going to. So let's not lie to ourselves. We did not even have anything when it comes to like buildings. You just see a building and you marvel. There were buildings at UAB that I'll just go to and I begin to ask myself, Valeen, where have you been? Were you even, so you want to be in a school that the environment is inspiring, the environment will make you question yourself, not to say, I'm bad or this, but just make you question yourself like, somebody actually built this building. For instance, you're going to study architecture. You must be in an environment where the architecture of the school is very inspiring for you to even start thinking outside of the box. If you want to go to a village school, better just go to Abraka Grammar School. Guys, Abraka Grammar School is a secondary school, so please ignore me. I didn't want to call any university before people will come from me. So yeah, that's my point. So the next factor that you have to consider, this is the 12th factor, is the student life. What is the student life like? Are you just going there and everything will just be book? No, you also want to go to a school where there's student life. There's in Nigeria we have what we call student week, where you'll be doing old school day, you'll be doing this. Yeah, they have what they call student week too, but their own is homecoming. When they did homecoming, people of God, I did not even know what was homecoming. I'm like, who is coming home? Or when they said homecoming, I'm like, who is coming? Who is the person coming home? Homecoming, who is coming and who is going? Did somebody go somewhere before and the person is now coming? I don't understand. Please, before you laugh at me, just shut up your mouth, because when you come here you ask yourself that question. But see, during that week, student organizations will be having so many things. The Indian students will be doing so many things. The African students will be doing so many things. They'll just be displaying their culture. It's just a week to just relax and be taken care of. So you don't also want to be in an environment where everything is just book. You will end up not liking your experience here. And trust me, you're going to be lonely. So one of the things that you have to, consider is, yes, I'm going to be lonely already. So I need something that can make schooling and studying fun for me. Guys, if you've been enjoying this video so far, if you've learned something, one thing or the other, please ensure that you subscribe to my channel. If you haven't already, just hit the subscribe button. One way to figure that if you are subscribed or not, because sometimes people don't even know that they are subscribed or they are not, whether they are subscribed or they are not subscribed. So you'll see the subscribe icon. If it is red, it means that you've not subscribed. It will just show subscribe. So click on it. When it is gray, it means that you subscribe, because it will be showing subscribed, right? And after you subscribe, just click on the bell like button there and turn your post notifications bell on. Choose the option all. That way you receive notifications for all of my content. Okay, most times people make the mistake of choosing personalized, so that means they will only receive notifications for a couple of my videos, but if you choose the option all, you receive notifications for all of my videos, right? So let's talk about the next thing. So the next thing you have to consider, which is the 13th factor, is the perks that comes with the university. I know I already mentioned scholarship, grants, funding, but we're talking about perks. So calm down, let me explain something to you. So do they have a free bus system? Because if you're living on campus, you may not necessarily have a car, so you need something that can take you around the school. UAB had like a bus, a Blazer bus that takes you around the school. And even if you're living off campus, they also have like routes and meetup points where you can go to, and they'll take you from that spot to the school. So do they have such? That's something that you want to find out. Do they have a food plan? During the pandemic, UAB was giving out, they have what we call Blazer Kitchen. Please just watch that video. I talked about UAB, whatever. Watch the video so that you understand what I'm talking about. They have a Blazer Kitchen. Blazer Kitchen is pretty much a service to students, whether you're international or you're a citizen. If you don't have money to buy anything, you go there, you register, and then you can shop. You shop everything. It's a shop. So you have fresh food, you have clothing, you have stationaries, everything. That's something that you want to put into consideration, because sometimes you may not necessarily have the money, and even if you have money to buy certain things, you want to use it for something else. So if you see someone that is giving you something free, then you want to utilize such free services. Then do they have recreational facilities? UAB had like a very gigantic recreational center. People actually walk there. I just remembered something that I did not mention here. So people work at the recreational center. So I know I planned that I was going to go and swim at the recreational center, but I never did, because I did not see anybody that would take me or follow me. By the time I was ready, because I came it was pretty cold when I came, so there was no use going to the swimming pool. But by the time it was summer, pandemic already, I could not even bother. So yeah, so you need to find out if this university, they have perks that you want to get as an international student. So the 14th factor you have to consider are the labs. So these labs are like, if you're somebody coming here for research, you know that research is going to be key. You need a lab that works. You don't just want to go to any school where it's going to be more theoretical than practical, because that's the case for Nigerians. Everything is just theory. You don't see how this works. We were even programming on the board. How can you debug a program that you wrote on the board? Like, it just doesn't make sense. We were doing that, but you need to figure out if these people have labs that you can practice what you're taught and see them working. So the next thing that you have to put into consideration, the 15th factor, is the response time from officials. Now, you know why this is important? It's important because when you're reaching out to schools, if you have a question and you're at that phase where you're applying to schools, remember I'm going to be making a video where we'll be applying how to find the school. So that's going to be the next video. That should have been the video that I'm making now, but I just felt you have to know the factors to consider, so that when you start applying to schools, these things would guide you in your search. So if you're applying to these schools and you have a question, you want to reach out to the admissions department, or you want to reach out to the advisor of the graduate school, or you want to reach out to somebody, how long do they take to respond to your question? So if they are taking maybe 2 weeks and you know that you need something now, then that might be a problem for you. If you're applying to, like, let's say 50 schools, how long did each of these schools take to respond to you? So you want to go for a school that has a short or a quick response time, because if they are quick that way, when you're in the school, it means that when you need something and you reach out to them as well, they would also be quick to respond or solve your problems, whatever it might be. So the 16th factor that you have to consider is the distance. Now, a school might be situated in a place where you can't find anything else. Like, if you're going to shop, UAB is not really like that, but I won't say UAB is situated where you can find everything. Well, if you're living off campus, there are stores that are closed, but they are much more expensive than when you would have gone to shop at Walmart. So if you don't have a car, it's a problem. If you're already, whether you are here or not, whether it's already a problem because it's expensive. I mean, you're going to be doing conversions here and there. So for me, going to UAB and living off campus, it wasn't cheap, it was expensive. So you need to be, think of the proximity of the school to your basic necessities, and also think of the proximity, like if you're somebody that's going to live off campus, what is the distance of that school to the off-campus apartments that are closest to the school? So that's also something you have to put into consideration, because living off campus is less expensive, right? I made a video where I talked about the differences between living on campus and living off campus, so go watch that video so that you know why you should live off campus. Then the next factor you have to consider, which is the 17th factor, is the university ranking. Now, why this is important is because when you're going for your visa interview, they'll be asking you, why did you choose this university? It just doesn't make sense that you're choosing a school that is not even ranked in your field. It doesn't make sense. So you need to ensure that the school is ranked. It must not be the top 10, it can be the top 20 school in that field, and you're good to go. So how is the school ranked? What do people say about the school? What is the review of that school? That should also be a factor. What are people saying about that school on social media? Because everybody can say, I'm the best, but then what are people, the users talking or saying about that school? So the next thing that you have to consider is the international students and services support plan. How are the international office, how are they operating? Every school in the US, they have an international office, but sometimes again their response time is zero. So you want to ensure that these people, which is why I said the response time should be a key thing for you. And how would you tell if their response time will be good when you are there? It is from the response time you get when you are not even in the school. You see how important this is. So ensure that you don't just choose any school because this is the only school that gave you admission. Other schools will give you admission if you follow the things I'll be saying in my next video, how to find school, or if you register for my master class with the link in the descriptions down below as well. So the next factor that you have to consider, which is the 20th factor, I think, is the family ties. Now, sometimes you go to a school where you don't even know anybody at all. It might be a hassle. I tell you, why I did not go to UK was because I never wanted to stay with my brother. I never want to be in a country where my brother is. I did not just want to be it's the same thing for us in Nigeria. When you're like, the moment you finish high school, secondary school, you want to go to that university that is farther away from your state. You don't just want to be in a school that is close to your home. And I think that was one of the reasons why I did not even go to Delta State University when I got my first admission, because I was like, I'm not going to go to any school in Delta State. Funny enough, that's where I graduated from. So you want to choose a school where you have somebody right there. Now that I'm thinking about it, I was like, as when I went to London now, I would have had so many benefits because my brother would just pave the way for me because he's already there. He's there with his family and kids, he's working, everything. So I'll get a lot of benefits. I'll get so many things for free. I'll not worry about apartments here and there. But if you're somebody that you're going to struggle a bit, then go for a school where you have some sort of family tie, and so that they can, whenever you need something or you're feeling lonely, you just have people that you can call as well. But this shouldn't be like a top priority when you're choosing a school. Then this thing that I forgot, this is the 20th factor, and I am so because I know that I missed something out. You need to go to a school where there are opportunities for on-campus jobs. It is very important. You don't want to go. See, I know when we go for our visa interview, they'll ask you, do you want to be working while you're studying? And then you say no. You know that everybody that answered that question is going to lie. Whether your father is Dangote, I don't care, because you will still end up doing on-campus job just to have side money for anything you want to get, right? So we all lied. Or should I say we didn't lie, but we all didn't say the truth when we answered that question, because as an international student, you need the money. You need that money. So when you're coming to the US to study, you want to go for a school that they have what is it called? They have opportunities for on-campus job. You don't want to come and be struggling and you can't find a way to support yourself. And when that happens, you might be sent back to your home country, because remember, when they asked you at the embassy, can you foot your bills, you were like, yes sir, give me this visa, I can foot my bills. So that might be a problem. So the next thing, this is the 21 factor to consider, or the 22nd factor to consider. Yes, I'm that good. Thank me in the comment section. The next thing to consider would be like, this one would just be anything else that is of importance to you. So this is the others factor. So if nightlife is important to you, then you want to, you know, have that as a country. What's the nightlife like? Yeah, in states in Nigeria where the 7 p.m. everybody has, you know, they are sleeping. So in the US it might be the same thing. So if that's a thing for you, then yeah, consider that. Proximity to immediate needs. I know I mentioned that when I was talking about distance, but if that's something that you're key, that is key to you, and you know that you're not going to have a car in the next 1 year or two, then you need to also consider that as well. So guys, this brings me to the end of this video. I hope you learned something, because I discussed about 22 factors to consider before you choose or settle for a school. And so the next video that I'll be making is going to be a video that is centered on how you can then find a school in the US. I hope you guys are enjoying the way this series is going, because the first video I talked about what you need to do, right, before you begin your application process. This second video I focused on the factors you have to consider before you choose or settle for a school, and in the next video I'm going to be talking about how to search for a school. And yes, you guys, thank me in the comment section. I really appreciate all of your support. At this point, if you haven't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. Yes, turn your post notifications bell on so you're the first to get notified whenever I upload my content. Give this video a huge thumbs up if you learned something. Yes, give it, do it now. And then you know, if you need a one-on-one consultation, click the link in my description down below to book a consultation with me. And if you also want a community of aspiring and current international students like yourself, click the link in my description down below so that you can join my Telegram community. Guys, most of the videos I'm making right here, most questions, I've answered them in my Telegram community. And ensure that you're following me on social media as well. Join my mailing list, because that list is going to share never heard before stories about my life in the US, freebies, resources, information here and there that never make it to YouTube. So guys, this is the end of this video. Thank you guys for your support. You've been amazing. I really cannot thank you guys enough. Shout out to you, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Until then, I remain valeenovarah, and I fly to never give up, and I hope that you do same. Bye guys.